And then we resulted in the millage rate being on the ballot. As I stated before, it'll be on the ballot August the 2nd this year.
Excuse me. When's a good time for questions?
If you can, we'll do them at the end.
Okay.
Because we may answer some questions as we see them throughout.
All right.
Here's the top 10. Why new jail? And there's more reasons for it, but we just listed the top 10. One is overcrowding. You saw on the last slide where the numbers have increased since 2012. And then particularly in the overcrowding, we've seen the female inmate overcrowding and the cost associated with that. So as an example of the costs that are associated with the female overcrowding, April of this year, the cost was $8,155, and that was to house female inmates because of that overcrowding situation in Calhoun County. If you extrapolate that or project that, that comes out to about $100,000 per year just based upon that 1 month figure. The infrastructure cost has been a 21-time increase, and the immediate needs we have identified is roughly $280,000. The increase in maintenance staff hours, we've more than doubled the amount of attention that we're diverting our staff to the jail. Safety of county employees are a concern. You saw the infrastructure, some of the water, the other issues that are coming in. Security of inmates, it was not designed as a jail. It wasn't designed to contain. We've made some improvements to try to hold them, but still it wasn't originally designed as a jail. Safety of county citizens, that's a concern because with the overcrowding, once that is declared, then the judges will have to make a decision about release. And there could be the potential for release back into the community of inmates that would otherwise would be held in the jail. Liability, we've had a couple of liability, our workers' comp and liability insurer who have taken a look at the facility. They've come down and walked through with the sheriff and his staff, and they reported back that we have a workers' comp liability and we have a risk for safety of the county employees in that building. And fiscal responsibility to the taxpayers. We've considered that the money that would be put in the jail at this point in time with its current configuration would be money that would be a Band-Aid as opposed to a fix, because there's things that we have to tend to, but those are patches on an older facility. So in 2015, at this capacity of 142, the jail was in overcrowding, so overcrowding was declared 6 times in 2015. As I stated to you, the judges are making concessions to their sentences and allowing quicker outs. So this tells you what it means to you personally, fiscal responsibility or your fiscal commitment to it. At 1.5 mils for 20 years, if you have a home that's valued at $100,000, then that's $75 per year that your taxes would increase. If your home was valued at $150,000, then it would be $112 roughly per year. If your home was valued at $200,000, it'd be roughly $150,000 per year. Now we had a question at one of our other presentations about, well, what does this really mean? Because you have you're given data on values of homes, but yet the taxes are broken up into residential, agricultural, commercial, and industrial. So we answered that question. We had to go back and do some homework, but when we did the analysis, the largest contributor at that time we felt like would probably be agriculture. It's an agricultural community, there's a lot of land, but that wasn't the largest contributor. Any guesses as to what is the largest contributor to taxes?
Residential.
Residential. There's a lot more homes, some valuable homes located around the lakes, and so we felt like, or I personally felt like, that agriculture may consist of about 40 to 50% of the total. You think I was right? Mm-hmm. I was wrong. So residential consists of approximately 60% of the total tax contribution to the county. Agriculture consists of 20%, commercial commercial is 11% and industrial 9% of those may be reversed. But again, residential is 60% and agriculture is 20%. With animal control, our animal control building caught fire in May of 2015. We temporarily reconstructed that, and it was reconstructed for again, temporarily out in Quincy, off of Ray Quincy Road. There was a number that was at risk, and this number was $82,000. And that was at risk if we didn't permanently reconstruct that within 1 year. We were in a unique situation because a decision had been made or is being made to put the jail on the ballot. Well, with that, we felt that that could be a conflict because we didn't know exactly where to construct the animal control at that time until we made a determination based upon the vote. So we went back to our insurer and asked them if we could have an extension which goes beyond May of 2015 until we could get through August to make that determination. And co-location was the preferred method, meaning we co-locate the animal control with the jail so that you can have some economies of scale. For example, akin to what the prison does with the animals or the dogs, the inmates could help in the care of the dogs. It also gives supervision for the Sheriff's Department to be able to be co-located and have observation on that facility. Joe's going to talk to you now about the option we had and the configuration of the jail.
Thank you, Bud. I'm Joe Marak. I'm president of Securitecture, and with me today is Jim Escamilla, who's the president of Bison Associates Engineering and Architecture out of Kalamazoo. We've been working together for about 10 years, and I've completed somewhere between 90 and 100 of these studies that similar to what we completed for Branch County, and have developed a lot of different kinds of solutions over the years. So we're going to walk through kind of the study that we did. First of all, the basis of the study was we began with the need. What was the need? And we collected 10 years of data from the jail, from the courts. We collected data like the county population, the jail population, the number of bookings, the average length of stay, the number of cases, and so forth. And we collected this 10 years of data and projected out 20 years. So the thing you need to recall is that we're not necessarily building a jail for today's needs. We're building a jail to suit today's needs, but last at least for 20 years, because you're going to be financing this over a 20-year term. We want to make sure the jail meets its capacity requirements for that period of time. So after we determined the need, we looked at 7 different alternatives as to how to physically construct a jail that would meet these needs. Option 1 was a renovation of the existing jail, just a plain renovation. Go in there and fix all of those numerous problems that Bud was talking about. That project, in our opinion, it definitely did not meet the program. It didn't meet any of the needs, because unless you add square footage, as Bud stated, you have 142 beds in there. The projected jail capacity for 20 years was between 200 and 344 beds. So this building at 142 beds is not going to meet the needs of the county for tomorrow, let alone 20 years from now. So option 1, just a plain renovation and fix up that building, is not a feasible alternative for Branch County. Option 2 was a renovation and expansion. And what we had proposed there was to renovate the existing building, most of it, and use most of it. We don't really need to use, some of the square footage just is in the wrong location. As Bud talked about, the long linear corridors and so forth are problematic. Movement, long extended movement in a jail is not conducive to security, and it's expensive in regards to operations. But we're going to renovate the existing jail for administrative functions, for intake and processing, reuse the kitchen that's there, and then add a 200-bed housing pod to the north side of the building where the majority of the inmates would be housed. This option ended up having a cost of, on the high side, $24 million of project cost, and would take about 29 to 31 months to construct. Option 3 is where we would build a brand new jail, or a brand new replacement jail behind the existing jail. The existing jail is currently in this location right here, and we would build a new jail, a state-of-the-art facility that is conducive to staff efficiency and maintenance efficiency and so forth, and build a new building behind the existing jail, and then tear down the old jail. And then in the place of the old jail is where we would put the animal shelter. And the design idea here was to co-locate the animal shelter and the jail so that we can use low-risk inmate workers to do some of the maintenance and cleaning and things like that at the animal shelter. So we co-located them as close as possible. The animal shelter is closer to the street here, so the public would come in here. The jail's in the back of the property. This particular option had a cost of just under $31 million total project cost, had an annual operational budget of $3.1 million, and would take about 22 to 24 months to construct. And option 3 is one of the preferred options that we'll discuss a little later. Option 4 was to build a new jail and a new site. Now, we looked at, one of the things that we have done before over the years is we've converted a number of other buildings, non-jail buildings, into jail buildings. You know, we've converted an elementary school by adding on to it into a county jail. We've converted several industrial buildings into county jails. Warehouse buildings. If you can find the right infrastructure, the right bones on the building, it can be an economical use. So we did look at a number of existing buildings and a number of vacant industrial properties. Option 4 here is a vacant industrial property adjacent to another property that had a building on it that we looked at. And here, the site was too small, it was too constrained, there was no ability to add on to the building after 20 years, which you need to add on to. And by the time we got the study done, the site was not available anymore. That's the good news, because that means there's economic development in the county. Somebody's paying taxes on that property. Option 5 is a new jail on the prison site across the street from the jail. And so what we're taking, this is a partial view of that site, but that big green space along Marshall Avenue there across the street from the jail, where there's nothing but a grass area there. We took the same kind of design we were looking at, option number 3, and built it across the street in front of the prison. Now this site was also it was about $200,000 cheaper than building the same building over at the site, at the existing jail site. And the difference in construction costs is just site work. On option 3 that's behind the jail, this is a wooded area. It's a little bit low, it's a wooded area here. We have to deforest the property and then do some infill. There's a lot less dirt work that needs to be done at the prison site. Therefore, the construction cost was slightly less than building it behind the existing jail. Our operational cost is still the same at about $3.1 million, and take 22 to 24 months to complete the project from the beginning of the design to the operations. Option 6 was repurposing an existing warehouse building. Again, the building and the site proved to be a little too small. Future expansion was very difficult, didn't leave a lot of room for parking. And again, the site, by the time we were done, the site was no longer available for purchase anyways. Again, that's good news. Then the last one, we hear a lot of discussion about this, is we actually looked at the Florence Crane prison facility across the street to see if we could reuse that facility or part of that facility for a jail. Now, most people that aren't involved in corrections think, well, okay, a prison, you're already housing inmates there, it makes perfect sense, move into that for a jail. It really doesn't work that way. Prisons and jails are very, very different in their operations, in the respect that in a prison, everybody is classified to be the same classification, which means they're all male, they're all minimum security, they're all the same level of security risk, so you can house them together and into larger housing units that are dormitories. In a jail, you house males, you house females, you house maximum security, minimum security, medium security prisoners, you house people that are sentenced, and you house people that are awaiting trial. You are housing people that are awaiting to go to arraignment court the next day or the next Monday and so forth. So in a jail, you have several classifications of inmates you have to keep separate from each other. In a prison setting, you don't have that. So there's a lot of construction necessary to accomplish classification in a prison when you're converting it into a jail. Furthermore, in this, in the Florence Crane site, there were 6 buildings, all spread out and all connected with sidewalks and things of that nature. And we were going to use 4 of the buildings because we don't need all 6, because there's a lot more square footage out there than we need. However, they're all supported by a central steam plant. So all the modifications would have to be required to the mechanical and electrical systems to get it off the central plant, because it doesn't make any sense. It's not economical to operate a big central plant for just 4 buildings. And then you notice here, it's hard to see, the diagram's kind of small, but there's, there's a building here, there's a building here, there's a building here, here, and here. And they're all connected outside. And as I said, movement in a jail is bad, because movement in a jail is expensive. In a prison, movement is considered to be therapeutic. You get them out of their cells, you walk them to their dormitory, you walk them to the dining hall, you walk them to where they're doing their industries and so forth. In a jail, that costs money. And there's a reason that it costs roughly $40 a day more to house a person in prison than it does in jail. And a lot of it is the operation of the physical plant. But even reutilizing existing buildings and performing the renovations necessary to convert it to a jail and meet the standards, it was still a $30.4 million project, construction cost. However, the operational cost was $200,000 to $300,000 a year more than building options either 3 or 5. And those operational expenses are the ones that always go up. Operational expenses increase every year and they go on forever and ever. The construction costs eventually get paid for. There's a specific term to those. So in short, we looked at 7 different options. And again, as far as this is the floor plan of the existing jail, and you can see these corridors are hundreds of feet long. And when inmates are in here, and the control room is down here looking down the hallway, you can't see anything at any given time. You're looking down either a vacant hallway, all the inmates are in their cells or their dormitories, you can't see what's going on. So you walk down the hallway, you look in this cell block, you don't see anybody else. And that's the difficulty with a linear construction. And even the prison has linear constructed buildings. And we're going to show you in a little while a housing pod where you can actually see 200 inmates at one time from one location. Much more efficient. So again, this is the existing site, the existing jail in the wooded area behind where option 3 would be built. And this is the concept, the basic design concept of a modern jail designed to be efficiently staffed. We have an area that's administration in one area. This is the intake and processing. This is where everybody comes into the jail, comes through intake. In this particular design, we designed an intake and medical component that's housed to, they're designed to house about 40 people. People come and go from this every day. You book in people and you release people every single day. So there's a lot of traffic in and out of intake and medical. Kitchen and laundry would be centrally located between intake, medical, and the housing pod. Then the housing pod has a centrally located control room and then a number of different cell blocks where those classifications, males, females, minimum, medium, maximum security, sentenced, non-sentenced people can all be classified and separated from each other with sight and sound separation, but they can be observed from one point, unlike any of the other options that we were able to look at. So in option 3, we're building this brand new jail building behind the existing jail in the wooded area, separating staff parking from public parking. We also have a vehicle storage building, and then we, as I mentioned previously, we put the animal shelter on the front of the site where the existing jail is now. Option 5 is that site on this is Marshall Avenue here, and the existing jail is about over here, and the prison kind of surrounds the site over here. But again, we have plenty of ground here. It's nice and flat, it's unobstructed. And we take that same design and put the lobby facing the street here. You have your administration, your intake, kitchen, laundry, your housing pod, and then you have the ability to expand the facility in the future. If there's one thing that I've learned over the years of doing jails is you always plan for expansion because you never know what you're going to build. Because everybody thinks, oh, we're going from 142 to 200 and some. That's, you know, why do we need so many beds? Well, we collected 10 years of data. 10 years ago, 142 beds was plenty.